Hey guys, my name is X Factor. I hope you're having a great day. And over the last few months, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds have stated that they are slowing down the patching process. Well, they've most certainly done that drastically. There's been a couple bug squashes, maybe some stability tweaks, but the optimization on the game has completely stopped, even after promising us optimization would be a focus moving forward. Well, there's some good news today and some bad news today, depending on what you're looking forward to, because Battlegrounds released their roadmap between now and the end of the year, which is 11 weeks away. I know, Christmas is coming. I really don't want to think about that just quite yet. Where there are some new features and content, which is most certainly important, they are absolutely neglecting the core issues which are plaguing the game. So the good news is vaulting and climbing is coming. It's going to spend multiple trips on the test server, more than likely testing that for a little over a month before that makes it into the game. The desert map will be here by the end of the year. New vehicles, and something I'm really looking forward to, which will alleviate a lot of confusion for people and maybe even allow you to create some pretty epic stuff of your own footage, is 3D replay. That name doesn't make sense to you? How about demos from Counter-Strike or Battle Recorder from the Battlefield franchise, where you can get done with a round, you can actually download it, you can view it from any perspective you can think, whether it's third person 200 feet off of somebody, whether it's right over their shoulder, or it's in their eyes. Or maybe something crazy happened, you didn't catch it, but your buddy saw it. Maybe it was a bridge battle, a car blowing up and taking out a bunch of people. You could actually pop into their vision and take a look. And of course, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds has a massive cheating problem. So if you think you got killed super sketch, you can actually download it, take a look at it, and maybe the death actually made sense the way it played out because you didn't have all the information, came from another angle or another person, or maybe they just had a super crazy USB chair and they're two-tapping you with a pistol while you have a level 3 trash can on your head. So that's something I really look forward to, along with the new map. I actually really enjoy the map that we have right now, but a desert map, from what I've seen in the previews from other content creators and, of course, the media channels I've gotten a hold of it, it looks pretty good. New vehicles are always welcome, and the vaulting and climbing system could be really cool. Right now, if you want to do the crouch jump bind, you have to have jump to your space bar. Then if you have a mouse with extra buttons, you can bind the crouch to another button on your mouse, but you, of course, have to manually do it. So you can still jump through windows, be all sneaky beaky like, and pull off some crazy stuff. But it is a manual process. There is a perfect timing involved. So this might change the game, whether it's climbing over half walls or full walls. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the current tick rate and net code of the game once that stuff starts happening, because as we all know, the tick rate and the net code is beyond acceptable in any sort of multiplayer shooter, let alone one they're building as a competitive shooter. So as much as I look forward to some of the new stuff, I really think that Bluehole and the team is neglecting the stuff that's really important, which is these core issues. When we talk about replayability, keeping the level of frustration down, nobody likes taking damage deep within a corner or behind cover. No one likes getting PUBG'd where somebody warps 4 or 5 or 6 feet. You miss your shotgun shot at the beginning of a round, and you're already dead on the ground because they had something full auto, and maybe they simply did not warp. In the description down below, you're going to find a link to the Battlegrounds roadmap detailing from now to the end of the year. Then, of course, keep all this in the back of your mind as I cover some of the core issues that were not mentioned at all, not to mention some of the conversations over on Twitter with Poopy Queen kind of rehashing and covering what's going on for the rest of the year. Again, she also mentioned that there will be no focus on optimization till after this year is over. So some of the core issues that frustrate me and really can affect the way that you play the game and your experience with the game haven't even been mentioned. First, let's cover some of the audio stuff. The plane sound, when you're actually in it, deafening. Yes, you can hit Control M to mute the plane, and most likely you have to hear your teammates, whether it's in-game VoIP, Discord, TeamSpeak, or maybe you're using Skype. Same thing with the skydiving sound. Absolutely deafening. And of course, the vehicle sounds. Absolutely no indication of a simple tweak coming there across the audio balance. Now, to hear things in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds when it comes to footsteps 30, 40, 50 feet away, you really need to crank the headphones. But then, of course, when you go to shoot your own weapon, or if a friend or teammate's shooting in your ear, it's deafening. So a lot of times you have to choose and really manage your volume controls to maximize hearing people at distance. Tick rate and, of course, desync. Something that's been a core problem in this game since day one. And that could be somewhat of a tricky issue, which is not something that you could fix overnight, and of course can cause some stability issues. And if they aren't working on it now, they're not including it between now and the end of the year. What were they doing over the last couple months when it comes to some of the most important things when it comes to a multiplayer shooter, let alone a competitive shooter? Ping advantage and late damage. Right now in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, there is a massive advantage to people with high pings if you're both caught in the open. Player with the high ping sees you, shoots you 3 times. The first time you take damage, you actually are quick enough to get behind a wall or a tree. Well, because he's got a high ping advantage, because you were still out on his screen, you're taking the full damage the second and the third bullet. Maybe it was a headshot, maybe you're already knocked out or dead. And because there are no server-side checks unless you kill that person first, you're absolutely going to take that damage. There's a lot of stuff that is client-side in PUBG, which is part of the reason why cheating is so rampant right now in the game. Something I already alluded to earlier, within the first 5 to 10 minutes, or if you jump military or school, depending on how hot the plane is on its original path, you get massive warping and lag of player position. In one frame, they're right in front of you, the crosshairs on them. The next frame, they physically jump or teleport 5, 6, or 7 feet. And the whole server, the area does it at the same time. You get this big shimmy. Well, based on the weapon that you have or the situation you're in, more than likely that results in your untimely death. But it happens every single round. And it can happen in cities like Yasnaya if the circle is ending near there and there's 20 or 30 people in the third to last circle or second to last circle. It most certainly can happen there again. So where it's extremely common the first 5 to 10 minutes, it actually can replicate itself in late game scenarios if it is in a large city or something like Georgia Pole as well. Something else you think would be extremely easy to fix is the game launching UI. Or wait, is it a website? No, seriously, it's a website. You can pull it up, you can refresh it, you can click on the buttons. Absolutely crazy. And that thing gets jammed up all the time. I've seen some amazing UIs created by individuals from the PUBG community where it actually tells you if your teammate's ready on the screen, where you don't have to drag to the bottom, and a bunch of other stuff that more than likely should be included. Instead, we're stuck with the same bunk UI, which freezes up and has to be refreshed almost every single game. The last major core issues I want to cover have to do with optimization of actual game, and it's a hot mess right now. One of the most frustrating things that can happen right now to me personally on PUBG is the hard stutter or the micro freezes that happen. And oftentimes they happen in harmless situations. You open a door and there's nobody in the house, no grenades are rolling downstairs, no glass is being broken, and you get a hard freeze. Can't wiggle your mouse, can't move your character, nothing happens. But oftentimes it happens in gunfights, the worst timing ever. Or you're panning over using your 4-time or 8-time optic to check the horizon, and all of a sudden you get that freeze for a second and sometimes longer. Doesn't matter if that freeze is a frame or two or if it's a full second. That is simply enough to get you killed. When milliseconds matter, when 2 shots, if you have a level 2 helmet from a mini, drops you to your knees, if you're playing duos or squads, or eliminates you in solos, that is a lifetime. Not to mention the smoothness of actual gunfights. A gunfight pops off, you acquire the first target, no problem, knock him out. His teammate pops out behind a tree because he made a call out over VoIP. You go to swipe over there or flick the wrist, and it freezes. Not only are you not getting your shots in, but more than likely, you're out of cover, can't move, and now you're getting pinged. You most certainly have to hope they've got a case of the potatoes, or you're going to be taking a dirt nap, much like their friend was at the moment. And lastly, in the same category of optimization, let's talk frame rate. Whether it's low frames overall, or massive frame dips, or the lack of smoothness when it comes to the low frames. In areas like Georgia Pole, military, specifically Yasnaya, can be brutal. If you're in Yasnaya looking out, not a problem. But if you're looking into Yasnaya, you can get absolutely horrible frames. I actually get sub 60 frames, 1440p monitor with a 6900K overclock to 4.2 and a 1080 Ti. Not only is it sub 60, but it's not even smooth. And we just mentioned the stuttering. Well, you're going to get a lot of stutters in Yasnaya. For me, personally, that is absolutely not acceptable, especially since the developers have really not been focusing and or working on this. It's actually a bit of cause for concern. Now, Poopy Queen has mentioned this is extremely hard to do, and it is going to take time, and of course there will be stability issues, but you got to start someplace. When are we actually going to start seeing some of the optimization, the frame stabilization? Not to mention everything else wrong with the core issues of the game, which absolutely affect our replayability and our frustration levels. Yes, a lot of cool stuff is coming down the pipeline. I'm excited for the vaulting. I'm definitely excited for the 3D replay. But I also think that PUBG's really messing up their focus right now, just cramming content down our throat instead of taking care of the product that's been sold over 15 million times to the average consumer. Now, more than likely, a lot of this is being pushed up, believe it or not, for esports. There's a lot of tournaments coming up, big money on the line, and they need a stable client. Yes, that is super important because we saw how the first one played out in Gamescom. It's kind of a hot mess, people crashing, and of course the scoring system wasn't great, rewarded people who camped in the blue zone. So this absolutely begs the question, is esports seeing a prioritization when it comes to the development of this game over the 99.99% of us that play this casually and just want a better experience? Because stability issues are an absolute nightmare when it comes to esports, especially on the grand scale that PUBG has been successful on when it comes to Twitch TV, YouTube, and anything else that ports the tournaments out there. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on this roadmap? Are you excited? Do you think they're focusing on the right things? Or do you think they need to focus a bit more on the core issues? As always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you guys soon.